All right, testing 1 2 3, testing 1 2 3. There might be some background noise, maybe some firecrackers or something. I think my neighbors are setting them off. I don't know why. It's kind of weird. But anyways, I just wanted to show you how ALS works. So let's see here. Let's get started. All right, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to install the plugin. And if you don't have the plugins folder, just go here to plugins, edit plugins, and go to new plugin. And then on the content only, you can create a new plugin. I usually use this one. It doesn't really matter, but I usually tend to use this one. And I just type in whatever and create this default plugin so that it actually creates the folder. So now, when you go inside the folder, see here, it's not the one. Let's see. Here it is. When you go inside the folder, like you can see that it will be here in plugins. You can just copy and paste your ALS inside of here. The main thing that you want to do is the default input. You want to put it inside of your config file and then save it. Once everything's saved, you can either here regenerate the files or just close everything and then regenerate it again. It might pop up with some error, but just skip it. It should work. Make sure that you start with 4.27. You start with 4.26. It's not going to, I don't think it's the right version for that. And let's see here. And to further note, I've worked with 4.27 and I think it's pretty stable now. When they first originally released it, it wasn't that stable, but now it seems pretty stable. So it's good ahead. It's okay to develop with. Now the next thing that you want to be aware of is that once it opens up, you're gonna get the ALS, C++, and the ALS content. So you can edit this plugin, right? You can edit it, okay? And this one works as a plugin. And what I mean by that is that with the ALS plugin, if you go to, let's see here, if you go to, let's see here, if you go to, let's see, ALS, let's see here, hold on, give me 1 second here. There's a lot of background noise, but you gotta ignore it. Alright, if you go to plugins, and let's see here, I'm trying to do something really quickly. So this is the plugins that I was trying to create. You can see it's all right here, but this is kind of like where the plugins live at. So the build file is right here. If you're going to try to activate it onto like another C++ stuff, you would like have to check out the build file and actually like go in. And it's pretty standard to look for like ALS. You see right here, ALS CPP, and then you're just gonna add it over here in the build file. But you don't necessarily have to do that right now. But if you were to create like other classes outside the plugin, you would have to do that. So like let's see, so like this one right here, like you need to, if you find this C++ action or whatever and you wanted it to connect with the plugin, you'd have to activate the plugin onto there into the C# build file. That's what I meant. Sorry, I hear outside noise and I was getting distracted on what I was saying. But anyways, if you need help, just reach out to me. It's really easy, but a lot of, again, like I told you before, that Unreal is more of like the known, like you got to know somebody to get in, kind of like the Amway thing. So anyways, another thing that you want to look out for is looking at this right here in the character file. So the inside the plugin. Remember, plugins are for plug and play. You know, just like when you use Unity, you used Game Creator. That's kind of like a plugin, I guess. or like in Victor, it's kind of like a plugin. But the plugin concept for Unreal is that you plug it in, and you're supposed to have all this functionality that you can build on top of. So that's why it's like it keeps it kind of separate. But with ALS, sometimes you'll need to build functionality inside of the plugin, which is completely fine, which is what I do too. So there's ALS character and there's ALS base character. Now, ALS base character is the parent class of ALS character. Okay, so you can go and look in here and see what the differences are. But anytime you're trying to make an integration on anything, most of the things will need to be inheriting from the ALS base. A lot of people don't know that. I had to go in the community, I had to find it out, but the ALS base is like where you want to inherit anything from. But since you're building on ALS, you already have the base there, it's fine. But if you're trying to build on top of it as well, you want to go to the ALS base. If you're trying to build some sophisticated mechanics that needs everything to communicate, you're going to need to go to the ALS base. And this is another thing for parent class and child class. So this is the parent class, this is the child class, okay? And same with BPs. You're going to create, you don't have to do this now because they've already done it. But what you would do is you would create a blueprint child class, and that's how it works. And so you inherit from the CPP or C++, and then that way you have all the functionality of C++, but you can expose it to blueprints and connect other blueprints to it. So what I was telling you originally is you can continue doing your work and you can continue doing everything that you were doing before, but now it has a C++ base. So that way, in case you have to go back and you have to check something or you have to change something or you have performance issues, you can just be like, okay, I'm just going to fix it with C++ instead of using all these BPs, and it's solved. And so that's why I was like stressing to use this way. And it is kind of the way of developing UE games as well. That blueprint project that you worked on, you can continue to work on it and prototype it, and when you feel confident, you can start switching stuff to the ALS BP slowly to get a feel for it and still have the opportunity to develop. So don't really worry about the performance on the ALS BP thing. I wouldn't worry about it because it's pretty much, you know, once it hits a performance like that and you're saying it's hitting it pretty low, it's time to go to C++. That's the only like use case right there, is to be like, okay, I need to move it to C++ because this performance is horrible. That will solve it instead of just making the node and putting it into there. I did see your nodes and they look pretty correct, so it just may be that it was just a performance error. But anyways, let's get back to what I was talking about. So what I've done is I created a component, and I was watching a tutorial or whatever, and I was like, well, how can I convert most of it into C++? It'd be really cool to do that. So that's what I did. I created a combat component, and if you look inside of it, I made sure that I created within ALS by doing this and going here and creating it because I wanted it to be in ALS. So I created it in ALS so it's in the plugin because I needed it to be in the plugin. So anyways, if you look at what I've done, it's very simple. All the stuff that I saw them they were watching, that I was watching, I saw what he called and did. I just called it in C++. So the first thing that you want to make sure is that you have something that's blueprintable in the U class right here. These purple things, they're really easy to understand. They're just macros, man. They're for doing garbage collection, they're for doing reflection, and they're for exposing to the editor. All maybe three things in one. So basically what these macros do is they expose stuff to the editor, okay? So you're going to, the more you work with Unreal, the more you will start to understand it. This is a component, okay, that I have already made. And basically, a lot of the times you're going to want to use this to create your functions. Blueprint implementable event and blueprint callable. This is the blue one. Okay, this is the blue one, and I think this is the red one. Okay, so like you can actually do a blueprint callable, and I will show you what that looks like. Okay, and then these are obviously the U property. This is for your variables. Okay, U properties are for your variables. So I created this static skeletal mesh as a variable, and then I went and you see this one right here. This is the enum. Okay, that I was telling you about. Where you're like, well, how do you create all these enums and do this? Well, it's actually quite simple. Just create it like a U function, like because this is what the tutorial showed, and I made it blueprint callable so that I could see it in blue, and then I created the same name and I made it void, and I don't have anything in my CPP file. I just have it exposed because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna connect it with blueprints. You see, so I can do the functionality here, but I don't need to right now. I don't want to push myself to do it if I don't have to. I'll just do it in blueprints. So I've exposed everything right here, and you can see right here it says that it's in blueprints already. You see, it's implementable in one blueprint and implementable in one blueprint. So I know that it's actually there, it's working, it sees it, and you can see even the montage that I was using is here. Okay, so I just went through and started looking at different things, and started understanding how to convert stuff into C++. And I think it's a good exercise for you to actually understand it and see how it works. So if you look at over here, if you look at let's go back. Let's go to ALS. Let's just go here and go to the definition, because we'll try to find it. But it's that one thing, the picture I was showing you about ALS character enum library, and you can find it in here. I'm just I gotta move on, so I don't want to get into it. But let's see here. Let's see. This is, oh, by the way, this is a custom thing, but I did show you a picture of it before. You can find it in here in the ALS, but all you do is like I showed you, is you just want to make, let's see if we can find out where, let's see, let's go back to combat component. Let's go here. Let's go to declarations, and as you can see, it's right here. This is all I did. I did it just like the person did. Combat state, I put my comment here, called a unum blueprintable type. Then I called it by the name, and then I did, of course, the U integer 8. This is the integer. And then I called a null one, and I created a light attack and a strong attack. That's basically it, and it will show up in my enums. That's it. And I think enums are a lot cleaner in C++ than they are in Blueprint. Just my opinion, but that's what I think. So I was able to let's see, let's go back to the combat component. And sorry if I'm talking too fast, but I'll try to slow down. So basically it's right here. Okay, so you can just go through and start making stuff, man. A bool is attacking. The enum instance right here, you know. You can just start going through and seeing what they're doing and try to find in blueprints, and it's a really good way to learn. So now, if we go here, I went here and created a child-based combat blueprint, and here it is. And then I just went through this stuff like the guy did, and I just started adding stuff, same functionality. But the difference is that this is backed by C++. That's the difference. So this, what I was saying about blueprint callable, right here, the blue one, okay? And then what I was saying about the enum, you can call it in ALS. ALS has a enum whatever overlay thing, and here's enum right here, okay? It's gonna get pushed in, attack move gets pushed in, and here it is. Here you can see the enums right here, and then the blueprint implementable event is just right here, okay? And you can add your input stuff, you can add your output, in here. Okay, so if you look at the code, you can just see it right here. Action, input, void, ELS, ALS, whatever, instalize, use skeleton, you can see it. See, event consume key. So let's look, event consume key, attack move, void, implementable, that's the red one, and blueprint callable, that's the blue one. Okay? And that's it. Okay? So you can start fiddling around with it. And let's see here. And this is let's see, this is this one right here. So T array, this one creates the array because I wanted it to be created. And then it's right here, you see, right here, okay? And it shows it right here, what's in there. It actually shows in writer, it shows the data that's in there. So then I just called, and then I just took this array of montages, and then I just use the array. I can even use the array in C++ and do it all in code, but I just did it here. I did the get, and I did what the guy did, and I put it in here, and then it works. Okay? All right? So, and then here's the use skeletal mesh. Okay? And so my begin play is actually in, somebody was like, well, you want to move begin play into your CPP. I just moved it into the blueprints because it was just easier for me to kind of look at. So here's my begin play. Here's the combat component, right? And here's the mesh that I got. And here's the instalize. Now, here's the cool thing. See, here it is right here. Initialize right here, and what you need to put inside of it right here. Okay, and then here it is, blueprint callable right here. Okay, then begin play, snaps on, bam, boom, done. Okay, now another thing is that when you are working with Unreal, you have to understand that there's really a premise that you have to base it off of. And there's really an understanding of what you're looking for in it. So another thing is that there are certain things that are called overlay statements or overlays, and those can get kind of confusing. But what they are is, let's see here, if I can go to, see if I can find the overlay in here. If I can find the overlay in here. Oh, don't mind the noise. Alright, so let's see. Just give me 1 second. Okay, here's some of the stuff. So this is it right here. So like if you're gonna use one of these overlays, you could, like, I don't want to get into it, but maybe in the next video I will. You just like make a new overlay, you know, and what in the instructions, what it was talking about is that once you make the new overlay, you have to add the functions for the new overlay, for the get roll and the get up functions. You have to add them in here, but that can be easily done. What I do want to show you is that the ALS NMBP or whatever. Okay, so this is where you need to be aware that when I made this combat component, I put my default combat slot inside of here, and I called it combat. You need to put it over here so that it can play the montages. The next thing that you need to be aware of is that this is the layer blending. This is the base layer, this is the overlay layer, and etc. Now, here in these overlays are actually all done. They have a CPP background. So you can very easily like go back to your enums library and just start adding stuff. But for now, I wouldn't be trying to do that. I would just try to understand how to get simple things like the component going. and then later I can make an actual video about how to properly add overlays. But this is where it feeds off of, okay? And then I think there's one more place that, let's see here, ALS, let's see here. Let's see, there should be, let's see. There's a few places that you have to cover the overlay at. But if you go through the code, you can just, like, this code that is written is actually some of the best code that I've seen. It's actually, and it has comments in there, and you can go through and read it and see where you need to put stuff. It's not as intimidating as people would like to say it is. It's not as intimidating. Also, let's see if I can. So here it basically is, and he writes a lot of the code and stuff like that. Okay. You can also check out the ALS. Let's see right here. The ALS CPP file. Because you might have to also go in here and edit stuff if you need to edit stuff. But you can just check it out and look at it. And you can see that it's all based on those enums. And so once you start getting the idea of that, you're like, well, this is really easy. Just like I showed you with the interface. The interface is just, again, the interface is the wire that connects everything. Okay? Oh, another thing. There's something called casting. And just so that you know, with casting is that when you're casting to something, you're just trying to communicate with something. But let's say you have 3 classes that you're trying to cast to. Well, there are 3 classes, and the first one is a parent class, and the 2 other ones are the child class. If you class to the 3rd one that's a child class, you will not get the information from the parent class. So if you need the information, you have to make sure where you're casting to. So if you want to connect something like, let's say you have a gun that's in the parent class, but you cast to the child, it's not going to work. You have to cast to the parent class. This is something that a lot of new people don't know. Maybe you already know it, but it's something for you to understand. Let's see here. There's one more thing that I wanted to show you. Let's see. There's one more thing I wanted to show you that's in here. There's also the input that is here. So if you want to edit something, if you want to edit, it's all right here. And then here's the constructor. It's right here as well. So it's inside of there. And I would encourage you just to go through and look at all this stuff. Like, okay, so you want to find the overlay state. Let's see here. You can see where it exists at in all of ALS. Okay. So let's go up to here. You can see it all right here, the template, everything, okay? And you can see that there are blueprint types, like I said before. So this is, you can just go in here and start adding stuff, man. Just go in here and start adding stuff to your code. It's all in they put it all in the enum library, which I think is a lot cleaner than the blueprint stuff. So another thing, you can understand C++ better just by going through and looking at it. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, let me know. I just covered the gist of what's happening in here. So if you have any questions, please let me know. But you see, here's my combat component that I made. See, just to show you that it does work. I can move around. I can hit stuff. I can move around. I can hit stuff. So this is all for right now, but it does work, and it's C++ based, and that's a good thing. Okay, so if you have any questions, man, you can reach out to me. More than happy to help. I know Unreal feels like it's the boys club, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's a great framework to work with. So if you have any questions, just let me know and I'll help you. But just for now, go in and see what you can identify and see what you can understand in the ALS framework. It's not as big as people think it is. And the C++ one is actually more consolidated and it's stronger. So the whole, I guess you would say, premise behind it is a lot better than the blueprints, because the blueprints is more convoluted. It's for prototyping your stuff, but the C++ one is the one that you want to use. And you can still, like I said, expose most of the things the blueprints. Just make sure that it has a C++ core and a C++ base, right? And if you wanted to connect two parent classes, use an interface. Use that interface to connect it. It's like a connecting wire. So, all right. If you have any questions, let me know. All right.